Sheikh Hamdan chose her. Then his father made him undo it. He chose her. That is where this story begins, and that is the fact that everything else in it has to be understood against. Not a choice made under pressure. Not a choice made because it was the politically convenient option or the strategically correct one or the choice that served the long term interests of a royal family, managing its image and its alliances and its position in a region where power is always being measured and recalibrated. A genuine choice made by a man who had been through enough at that point to know what a genuine choice felt like and to understand how rare it was in a life like his. He looked at everything available to him and he chose her. And for a period of time that felt from the inside like the beginning of something real and permanent, the choice held. And then his father made him undo it, and the undoing cost more than either of them had words for. To understand the weight of the choosing, you have to understand how rarely Hamdan has been permitted to choose. His life has been shaped by decisions made before he was old enough to participate in them. The title came with the birth. The expectations came with the title. The arranged marriage came with the expectations. The public image came with the marriage. Each layer built on the previous one, creating a life that looked, from the outside, like the expression of one man's remarkable existence, but was in fact the product of a system that has never been primarily concerned with what that man actually wanted. Inside that system, genuine choice, the kind that comes from looking at two directions and deciding, based purely on your own feeling and your own sense of what matters, which one to walk toward, has always been a rare and fragile thing. When it has appeared, it has almost always eventually been taken back. She was the choice that felt most real, most fully his. The other women in his story, the one who came first, the one who waited, the one who was there and then removed, each of those connections had their own truth and their own cost. But this one had a quality that set it apart. A quality of having been made with his eyes fully open, with the full awareness of what the world around him had always done to the things he cared about. He chose her knowing the risk, not because he thought the risk did not exist, or because he had convinced himself that this time would be different for reasons he could not fully articulate. He chose her because the alternative, not choosing, not reaching, continuing to let the structure of his position make all the relevant decisions, had become more unbearable than the risk. He told the people close to him, not publicly, not with any announcement that the outside world was permitted to hear, but in the private way that decisions get communicated inside a royal family, through the inner circle, through the conversations that happen in rooms that the official record will never reference. He had chosen. He wanted this to be acknowledged. He wanted the life he was building with her to be recognized, even internally, as real and intentional, and not something that was going to be managed away the next time it became inconvenient for the larger plan. He was not asking for a public announcement. He was not asking for anything that would have disrupted the official story in ways the palace could not manage. He was asking for the private space to have made a real choice and to be allowed to live inside it. His father heard this. Sheikh Mohammed, who hears everything, who processes everything through the lens of what and for the future of the crown and the stability of the family and the Pusana family and the position of Dubai in the regional and global landscape, heard that his son had made a choice. And he looked at the choice the way he looks at everything. Not as a father evaluating whether his son was happy or whether the woman his son had chosen was worthy of that happiness. As a ruler evaluating whether the choice served the plan. whether it fit the architecture of the future he had been building, whether it was compatible with the alliances, the image, the structural requirements of a crown that was going to pass from one generation to the next and needed to arrive at the next generation in the strongest possible condition. It did not fit. That was the conclusion. The choice Hamdan had made, real and genuine and made at real cost and with real courage, given everything the world had already taken from him, did not fit. And Sheikh Mohammed, with the efficiency and the conviction of a man who has never confused personal feeling with strategic necessity, told his son to undo it. The conversation that followed, the one between a father who believed he was protecting the future and a son who had just been told to dismantle the most honest choice he had ever made, is not a conversation the world will ever have access to in its full form. What is known is that Hamdan, who had chosen with his eyes open and with full awareness of the risk, was asked to unchoose, to take back the commitment he had made, to step away from the woman he had chosen and return to the positioning that the plan required. And Hamdan, who is his father's son in the deepest and most binding sense, who has internalized the understanding that duty and the crown come before personal desire, did what his father asked. He undid it, not easily, not without cost, not without the kind of internal fracture that happens when a person who has rarely been permitted to choose finally chooses, and then has the choosing removed by someone with more authority over the shape of his life than he himself possesses. But he undid it because the alternative, defying his father, defying the system, choosing himself in a way that would have sent consequences through every level of the family and the political world it inhabits, was not something he was prepared to do, has never been prepared to do, may never be prepared to do. And the knowledge of that, the understanding of his own limit, the place where his will meets the wall that the crown has always placed around the edges of his autonomy, is perhaps the thing his eyes have been carrying most heavily ever since. She understood, in the way that the women in his life have always had to understand things they had no real power to change. She understood that the undoing was not about her, was not about whether she was worth choosing or whether the choice had been a mistake, was about a man who had reached the limit of what the system around him permitted. She understood all of that, and she left the space that the undoing had opened up around her with the same quiet dignity that has characterized every woman who has had to absorb the consequences of a royal family's decision without the comfort of the world, even knowing what had been taken from her. He made the most honest choice of his adult life, and then he was made to undo it. And the poems he has written since are the poems of a man who knows exactly what he gave up and why and cannot stop knowing it, no matter how much time passes or how many new requirements the crown finds for his attention and his compliance. Subscribe to this channel and hit the bell. Every week I bring you the real story of Sheikh Hamdan, the choices he made, the undoings that followed, and the truth about a man who has never fully stopped paying the price for loving in a life that has never fully allowed it.